Like that one? Yeah. Okay, good. Because then I can whisper and you can still hear me, and I save all my energy for tonight. Oh, by the way, it was Arizona Sheriff's, but it was every other state as well. It wasn't just Arizona. It was every state. Except California. Want to know why? Serious.
Let's hear it, yeah.
Every state that had more gun control than the Brady bill was already putting into effect, it didn't affect them. You already had too much gun control here, so they didn't care.
Oh my
So
God.
the BATF came to every state in the union, but this was also good news because in the Brady bill itself, it said the CLEOs, Chief Law Enforcement Officer. And that's the first time you'll see any documentation that the sheriff is indeed the CLEO. And it's right in the Brady bill itself. So if you want to see any place where it says the sheriff is the CLEO, look up the Brady bill, because it says. So we actually got that from corruption of the federal government. But, so we thank them for at least getting one thing right the last 100 years. But they don't do that very often. But I guess it's the same thing about a broken clock. It's right twice a day. And the federal government doesn't even get that much. That's
Twice a decade.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So anyway, it was a crazy, crazy time. What I want to do before, if I get Emily and maybe somebody else to pass these around. So I'm actually going to give you a highlighted version of the Supreme Court case because I put it together and it took a lot of time. So it's just a little pocket-sized booklet. It's the most powerful pocket-sized booklet except for your pocket constitution that you'll get anywhere. This is the most amazing, miraculous
Thank you.
Supreme Court case dealing with state sovereignty, states' rights, local autonomy. Let's just cut to the chase. This is the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of America. This is also the only time sheriffs sued the federal government, took it all the way to the Supreme Court and won. This is the only time
Yay!
in American history, ever. Oh, I get to free up my hands, good. All right, yeah. See, they were gonna have me back there, but it might be better shade, but I like to be close to the people I'm talking to.
Thank you.
Sometimes I even go up into the audience. You know? I really like to feel that closeness. And so this case is very historical. And I was joined in the case because I started the whole thing. That's kind of why I've made it my life's work, because I started this, I'm going to finish this. And with good people like you, we can get this done. Because, quite frankly, the sheriffs are the ultimate solution. And in fact, I think it's the only peaceful and effective solution we have left. Okay? Now, I know there's a lot of other groups. The New State Project in New California State. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. If you get that, I'll probably move here. You know? If Texas will secede, I'm going to move there. You know, but because really, the whole thing about this, New California State, Texas seceding, sheriff standing, and keeping the federal government out of your life, state and local government too. Doesn't matter where the threat comes from. The sheriff is obligated by law and by sacred oath to protect you from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Yay.
He's bound by sacred oath. He or she, I think you have 3 female sheriffs in California. And Sheriff Mims in Fresno is a pretty good friend of mine and good person. She just hasn't taken that one step further to come to one of our training seminars. She really needs to do that. But she's a good person, and if we can get the sheriffs in this country who are honest in heart and good people, we need 1,000. We need 1,000 sheriffs. That's only a third. and we'll take America back county by county.
Yay.
And state by state. But we don't need the states either. It'd be nice to have them. But each county is its own sovereign government, and we can do it county by county. And the more sheriffs we have, obviously, the better off we're all going to be. Because people say, well, what can I do for this sheriff? What can I do about this sheriff? What can I do about my sheriff? He's not constitutional. We're not going to get every sheriff. Okay? What we want is there's going to be enough close to you that you can move there if you have to. And would we move for liberty? I surely will. In fact, I've already done it 3 times. When I was a cop in Utah, I moved home to run for sheriffs so that we could start constitutional sheriffs in constitutional counties. And I didn't know why I was moving there. I found out after my 2nd term, it was to sue the federal government. And then, this is crazy too though. I was supposed to, it felt so inspired that I was supposed to do that. But you know what I learned about going to the Supreme Court? We should never have gone. I shouldn't have filed anything. We all, especially, but I was the only sheriff in the country doing it. For 5 weeks, I was all alone. I thought, oh, this is the only answer. The sheriffs of this country, the sheriffs of Arizona, if we only had we only have 15 counties in Arizona. If 7 or 8 of us, or 10 of us even, 2/3 of us would have said, no, we are not doing that here. Stay the hell out of my county, don't come bother me again, and leave us alone. No! They have no jurisdiction there. Why would you ask permission in a federal court to tell federal agents who have no jurisdiction, no authority, and no business being in my county or trying to tell sheriffs what to do?
Wow.
Yep.
It's none of their business. I don't work for them. And in fact, the 3 agents of the BATF, you know what BATF is, right?
No.
Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They're like a little junior FBI. Okay? They were the ones that raided David Koresh. The BATF raided Koresh with those 100 agents back in 1993. Yeah, I think it was 93. Yeah, whatever they were. But what I know about Ruby Ridge, and I know Randy Weaver very well. He and I actually wrote a book together. The title of the book, I don't have those with me. In fact, they're out of print, but maybe I'll get them back out. It was Ruby Ridge. No, wait, sorry. Vicky, Sam, and America. How the government killed all 3. You see, folks, they did, and they committed murder there, and no one was held accountable. In fact, Lon Horiuchi, who actually fired the bullet into Vicky Weaver's head while she was holding little 11-month-old Elishaba, he got promoted and became the head special agent in charge in Dallas. So that's usually how that works. You know, people who commit murder will be promoted, and that'll probably happen to the Capitol police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt. He'll probably get promoted here very soon too. He was a real good liar for them on TV, so he'll probably get promoted. But yeah. But then if you're a 17-year-old boy in Wisconsin defending yourself, they want you to go to prison the rest of your life. So there's so much going on that it's so vital that we come together. And that's why I wanted to be here. We've got to come together, and it's a simple message. Here's the Constitution. Here's what's going on, and we got to bring that back over to here. Here's what's going on, totally unconstitutional. We got to bring society and government back to the Constitution. And if your sheriff will get on board with you, don't expect your sheriff to do this without your support. Will not happen. This is a We the People project. We the people, the most powerful aspect of our government. Okay? So, each of you has in your hand a $400,000 document. Okay? Doesn't look that expensive, does it? Just what do you think it costs to go to the Supreme Court?
I was going to say $1 million.
Well, this was back in the early 90s. So lawyers were a lot cheaper then. So I want to tell you what led up to this. First of all, I had no desire whatsoever. It was not even on my radar to run for sheriff in my hometown. Safford, Arizona. And the county was Graham, like graham cracker. Okay? Beautiful mountain there called Mount Graham. And if you really like natural hot springs, you want to come to Safford, Arizona. My wife and I love those. We've done them our entire lives there, and it's another thing that makes Safford, Arizona famous. People come from all over the world to go to those. I think it's one of the best kept secrets, though. But of course, we'd get a lot more if everybody knew about it. Mount Graham is a great secret. Beautiful cabins, fishing, hunting, wonderful, even snow-capped 6 months out of the year, and no skiing, but lots of playing in the snow. And that's what I did all my life growing up. Like I said, I had no, I mean, I would love to be sheriff in my hometown, don't get me wrong, okay? But that wasn't even an afterthought. It wasn't even on the back burner. It was not even on a burner at all anywhere. And then things for my wife and me and our little kids, everything is going wonderful. I'm climbing the ladder at Provo Police Department, and everything's great. The church is right across the street. The school is just two houses over, and the kids are doing well. And you know what happens when everything's going great in your life, right? The in-laws call. My wife's parents call, and they start this crazy thing that I just have to move home and run for sheriff. This is the first time in our lives that my wife agreed that her parents were crazy. I said it all the time. This is the first time she agreed. And her mom is so relentless. She does not understand the word no. And both my wife and I told her no every time she called. And when she would call, I don't know what she was going to say. She could have been saying, hey, we want to give you a bunch of land or money or whatever. As soon as her mom, I just handed it to my wife. I said, tell her to leave me alone. So she said, leave it alone, we're not coming. And I mean, we're really not wanting to do this at all. I had 11 years with Provo PD. I could retire in 9. And I said, I'll come when I'm retired here. I'm not going to just pick up and leave and then lose a sheriff's race. And then I go, well, okay, now what do I do? Yeah. So one night I said, let's list all the pros and cons why we cannot do this. Let's list the pros over here, the cons over here, and send it to your parents. Okay? And there's only 2 pros. And that was to live back in our hometown and live closer to grandparents on both sides. Both our parents lived there. That was it. Everything else, career and family and no, we're staying. And there was like 20 reasons why we weren't going to do it. And they were good reasons. And we sent that to them. I don't even think they read it. I think they just threw it away as soon as they got it. I don't know. It didn't have an impact. And I said, we're not going. And my wife said, we're not going. Nobody wants to. And then one day, I was a detective at the time. And one day I had to wear a uniform. It was for some parade or 4th of July, something, I don't know. And I was in uniform, and there was kind of something in the air, I don't know what, there was kind of an epiphany happening to my wife and me at the same time. And I came home from that event. I was in this uniform. It was a French blue uniform, almost the color as this blue here, kind of this blue here. And I'm just looking at her, and she's looking at me. And I said, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking? And she goes, I think so. What are you thinking? And I said, this is the last time I'm ever going to wear this uniform. She goes, that's exactly what I was thinking. 3 weeks later, we were home. 3 weeks. And what I did is I put in for a leave of absence and moved home, though. I put the kids in school, My wife's parents had a huge home, and we lived in those bedrooms and never even knew they were there. And it was fantastic. It was working out. Getting residency was real easy. And we worked our tails off, and we won the primary by 111 votes out of about 8,000. And then I beat the incumbent quite handily in the general, and I took office January 1st, 1989. And then I was reelected in 1992. And my wife says, when I got reelected, she goes, "Why this big miracle about us becoming sheriff?" Folks, you need to realize something. I never worked in law enforcement in the state of Arizona or in my hometown ever. Ever. I worked at a local grocery store when my wife and I first got married. I graduated from Eastern Arizona College, which was a 2-year community college. I played football and baseball there. And I had some name recognition because I was an all-star athlete, but that was about it. And my dad had good name recognition because he was an FBI agent there for 25 years. People were in the mood for new blood. And I was new blood, and I was old blood. You know, make DUI arrests, you know. And I ran on a very strong constitutional platform. And yeah, we're doing that. And I'm getting all my deputies trained in their oath of office and the Constitution. Still, nothing's up. So a year after I get reelected, my wife and I are watching TV, and we see Bill Clinton signing the Brady Bill into law. And this was November of '93. And he's left-handed, and he's using 13 pens. To this day, I still don't know why he did that symbolism, what it meant, you know? Probably some satanic thing, I don't know. But anyway, so he signed using 13 pens to sign his name, and we didn't say anything. Then on January 21st, 1994, we have this meeting of the Sheriff's Association. There's 13 of us there. Joe Arpaio's there. And 3 agents of the BHF hand us a 25-page document detailing what they said we had to do to enforce the Brady Bill. What? Every sheriff in the room is going crazy with, when did we start working for you? Well, Congress passed a law. Oh, what? And I piped up, and I'm the youngest sheriff in the state. It's not like I'm pushing my weight around, because I wasn't. But I said, it really doesn't matter if you pass 500 laws. We still don't work for you. There's just some things that you can't pass. It's not law, okay? I mean, can you legalize rape? Which I think they've tried to do a few times. No, you can't. It's still wrong. It's still against the law, okay? And so, and when it comes to the border, they probably have legalized rape. And they're completely lawless and chaotic there, obviously. And whatever you've seen and heard of the border, times it by 10, and that's how bad it is, okay? It's not even close to being totally exposed. So, when these 3 agents of the BHF finally left, you never heard so much cussing in your life. Man, every show, wow, these sheriffs were cussing us. No, because this was the first time in history where a supposed law, and you can't call these things laws, folks. Don't call them laws anymore. What did the Founding Fathers call, quote, laws in the Declaration of Independence? In the 27 lists of the reasons why we fought the Revolutionary War, they called it pretended legislation. Okay? This was more pretended legislation. Remember, one of the 27 reasons why we fought the Revolutionary War, pretend legislation. Okay? So don't call them laws. The Brady Bill was a bill or an act. It was not law because it was so totally unconstitutional. And so these sheriffs went on and on and on. These sheriffs totally convinced me. There's no way we're doing this. So I'm convinced. My mind's made up. We're not doing it. Did I know what I was going to do instead? No. Because not only was this the first time they ever passed pretended legislation to commandeer sheriffs for federal bidding, they did something else to make sure we were good boys. they threatened to arrest us if we failed to comply. It's in your little booklet, okay?
Unbelievable.
It's in there, okay? We'll probably go over that in just a minute, okay? So, they left, we kept cussing, and it wasn't me, I don't cuss. Well, at least not how they were cussing. Yeah. This was pretty bad. And at the end, we stayed on another 6 hours, and by the end of the day, the president of the association said, okay, I want every sheriff to tell me what you want to do about the Brady bill. At least half of them, at least 6 or 7 said, you can't fight City Hall. Who wants you to believe that? City Hall.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we want. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to be good boys and girls. You have to be good little sheep.
Yeah.
Get the vax. Wear the diaper. And not on your butt. Wear it on your face. Okay? Okay? So that's what they want us to do. All of us sheep will just go on along. And Fauci is the one we're obeying. And that's got to be.
Fauci Mengele.
What did he ever get elected to? I know. It's crazy. So, we keep going along. And so at the end of the day, they all said what they wanted to do. And it seemed to me, I don't know, maybe I wasn't, it's a long time ago. I thought I was last, and I said, I'm not doing it. Everybody, they go, yeah, right, sure, kid. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not going to do this. You guys totally convinced me that it's wrong, immoral, unconstitutional, unlawful, and yet we're supposed to just go along because we're afraid of them? Or they'll stop giving us money? And so that's one of the reasons why I've always taught sheriffs, don't ever take federal grants. Don't mess with these crooks or their bribes. There's no such thing as legal bribes, okay? There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Especially, this is even worse. They steal the money from you and put it in this pile and say, we'll give it to the sheriffs if they're good boys. You know, if they do what we say. And yes, there are, I've seen these grants before. Every one of them have strings attached, big time, okay? So, I had a 2.5 hour drive from that meeting in Phoenix. And I'm just brooding the whole way home. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because if I don't do it, I'm subject to federal arrest. If I do it, I'm violating my oath and the Constitution, everything I ran on and everything I stand for. So, I pull up in my driveway and it hits me. I'm going to sue my own government. And if any of you think I was happy about that, I was scared to death. I'm going to sue the Clinton administration. Oh, goody, nothing ever happens to those people. I didn't want to make the 116 list, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than that, yeah. So, and then I go, ha. I got the pretty little blonde girl in there. She's not going to go along with this at all. So I'm not going to have to do it. Well, I don't know if she was having a bad hair day or what, because she was like, oh my gosh. She was really in tune with this. She didn't understand one thing I was saying. I'm going to sue the Clinton administration. They're trying to force me to, they're going to arrest me if I don't force the Brady bill, and it's all crazy, and all the other sheriffs won't do anything. What do you say? She goes, I don't understand anything you're talking about, but I understand you. And she goes, maybe now we know why you were supposed to be sheriff.
Yes.
And I said, I'll take that as a yes. Folks, I'm here to tell you right now, if that pretty little blonde girl had said no way, it would have never happened. I was looking for a way out and she would have been it, but she wasn't it. And the next day I went and talked to a lawyer downtown on Main Street, and he said everything I thought my wife was going to say. Are you crazy? Do you have $20,000? You won't be able to walk into the office of an attorney that could take you to the Supreme Court. And I said, what's the difference? He says, they have to be certified to go to the federal courts. I said, really? I said, so you couldn't do it? He goes, I couldn't do it and I wouldn't do it. I said, this is going nowhere. I said, look, I don't think we're ever going to get to the Supreme Court either, but I have to file this. He goes, okay, well, I said, do you know anybody who is there? He said, I don't know anybody. So I left his office really discouraged. I get back to my office, and there's my undersheriff, Mike. I said, hey, Mike, you're a member of the NRA. He goes, yeah, life member. And I said, do they have a phone number where you can call and get advice? He goes, I've never called it before in my life. There it is. So I'm not even a member of the NRA. So I go, well, they're going to really not want to talk to me. So I got passed around a lot. I got really discouraged, just sitting there on the phone. Finally, I ended up in the office of Richard Gardner. And I think he's a federal judge somewhere now, but I don't know. And he was the NRA lawyer, or one of them. And I told him who I was, what I wanted to do, and the next line out of his mouth changed my life forever. And he said, Sheriff, we've already been preparing the paperwork on this case, and we've been praying that you would call. So I said, so first of all, I go, me? I said, I'm not even a member and you guys don't know me. He goes, we needed a sheriff and you're the first one. And I said, great. So I was telling him how we're going to finally prove that the Second Amendment protects a God-given right to self-defense and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I could just see him putting up his hand. Calm down, Sheriff. We're not even suing on the Second Amendment. And I go, you're the NRA, even I know that's what you do. He goes, we have no standing on the Second Amendment, and neither do you. Because in the Brady Bill, law enforcement was exempt. So I had no damage, I had no standing, I couldn't sue on the second. I said, so what paperwork are you preparing? And he said, 10th Amendment, states' rights. The federal government has no authority to tell you to do anything. And I go, even better. That's great, because that's what I told the other sheriffs. So I said, we talked a little bit more. He told us how they were going to pay for everything, get it all funded, and we'll have their attorneys. And I said, I have to tell you this, I don't want to offend you. I said, but I have to have my own lawyer on this. I said, it can't just be the NRA case. And I said, I got to have my own lawyer. He goes, that's fine. We'll work with your lawyer. And I said, can you recommend one? He said yes. As a matter of fact, we can. He used to work for us. He lives in Tucson. His name's Dave Hardy. So I called Hardy right then and there. They gave me his phone number, and I retained him that very day. And on February 28, 1994, the very day the Brady Bill took effect, Mack v. U.S. was filed in Federal District Court in Tucson. And then about just a couple of, maybe a week or two before that, Sheriff Printz, P-R-I-N-T-Z from Montana, Ravalli County filed. And then Coog from Texas, Romero from Louisiana, McGee from Mississippi, Frank from Vermont, and Anders from Wyoming. 7 out of 3,086 sheriffs. 7. Yeah, the Magnificent 7. And if the others hadn't joined, Printz and I would have been killed at the 9th Circuit. In case you haven't heard, that's one of those circuit courts in San Francisco that is the most overturned court and the most wrong court in America. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So we all won at the district court, all of us except Coog in Texas. How
What?
do you lose a state sovereignty gun rights case in Texas? So I figured it must have been that judge that moved in from Chicago or something, you know. But anyway, he lost. The rest of us won. Printz and I won big time. Nothing went further than our case in Tucson, because Judge Roll said that Congress exceeded its authority and it violated the 5th Amendment as well as the 10th Amendment. And it was my rights to due process, and it was fantastic ruling. Congress exceeded its authority, he said. And I love that part. I've kept that ever since. And then Sheriff Printz and I lost at the 9th Circuit, but Coog and Romero won at the Fifth Circuit, big time. So we have two conflicting rulings in circuit courts on the exact same case. And my attorney said, that's going to guarantee us a trip to the Supreme Court. They'll have to fix that. Sure enough, in December of 1996, I'd already lost my third bid for election. This whole thing cost me my re-election bid. My strength became my weakness politically because, first of all, it was a small town. Yes, it was a very strong gun town, but they didn't want a political activist sheriff.
Yeah.
They just wanted somebody to be there to be sheriff. And I lost the election. 8 months later, I win at the Supreme Court. If that had been reversed, I probably would have stayed sheriff. But as my wife told me when we lost, you're not supposed to be sheriff anymore. There's something else going on here, and we've got to be ready to do it. And so since that time, I've written 8 books. I've been to all 50 states, and I formed the CSPOA. The CSPOA is for every one of you. I expect every one of you to get online and join the CSPOA posse. They need our permission to exist, not the other way around. And your sheriff is going to need your back up, okay? You're his backup unit, all of you. And I hope that you'll form a posse with him or her, whichever county you live in. And you've got to be in constant touch with your sheriff to make sure he's getting trained and that he understands his obligation to you. And all he has to do is keep his oath. The oath he was required by the Supreme Law of Land to take when you hired him. And it's vital that he understands the significance of his oath and of the Constitution. He is a guard of the Republic and a protector of liberty. That is his job title. Okay, we've gotten off of that, haven't we? We're gonna bring all that back over to the Constitution. Okay? So, we go to the Supreme Court. James Brady is there, for whom it is named. You all know the story. 3 months after Reagan was in office, some guy shoots Reagan. First, he shoots a cop, a Secret Service officer, Reagan, and I think Brady got it first, right here. He was confined to a wheelchair after that, but he was still very bright, a lot of ways. I went over and talked to him. He was extremely gracious. Said he really admired me for what I had done. His wife and I didn't get along that good. A lot worse. She was the one exploiting her husband for all of this. It took them 10 years to get this through. How long has it taken us? How long has it taken our corrupt government to get the vaccination and the mask thing going?
Yeah. In a
Matter
jiffy.
of weeks.
Yeah.
Matter of weeks. Yeah. And the pushback is simply from your sheriff with you saying, we're not doing that here. People will make their own choices. That's what government, Mr. Biden, that's what liberty is supposed to be, is that people make their own choices. I know this is really hard for you to get this, but your agenda is not the important thing. Liberty is the vital thing in America. You don't want to protect liberty. We will. Okay? And we mostly need to say that to his handlers, right?
Yeah.
For the people who told him he can't answer questions, we want them to know and understand this. Okay? I blame his wife a lot for this. But folks, we must understand our obligation to stand with the sheriffs and unitedly take back America, county by county, one good sheriff at a time. If we get 1,000, we win. That's
Yep.
1/3. And John Adams told his wife Abigail in a letter, the way I see this is there's 1/3 of the American people who totally support the revolution. There's 1/3 of the people who could care less. They're a bunch of apathetic punks. He didn't say punks, but I did, because that's what they are today. And then 3, there's 1/3 that totally are on side of King George III. Tories, or loyalists they were called. Can you imagine? Do we have any of those today?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, do we have a lot of Tories around, huh? And so we're just going to keep moving, and we're going to understand that we can win a Revolutionary War. We can win this, because I do believe a third of the people are on the side of liberty today, just like we were in 1776. So we can do this. Now, there are so many other miracles on all of this. That this small town sheriff from southeast Arizona, what was the town? Safford, Graham County, thank you, Safford. Safford's the county seat where I went to high school, Safford High School. From a small town of about 40,000 people, where there's the 3 C's, copper, cattle, and cotton. Those all 3 are big time in my county. I went to the Supreme Court and won a major landmark case. You'll see that Sheriff Printz's name is attached to the case more than mine. I don't care. The only reason it was is because he filed like 5 weeks after I did, but his court in Helena, as a district court, wasn't busy. So he was heard actually before I was. That's the only reason. Both our names are on the case. We were both there at the Supreme Court. And yes, I am so proud to be part of this miracle. And Printz doesn't do much with this. I still talk to him from time to time. Only one sheriff has passed on, and that was Coop from Texas, Valverde County, right on the border. And his border's going crazy right now. Del Rio, Texas. So folks, what do we know about this? I am dead serious. What I've learned is you stop asking permission from corrupt judges if I can keep my oath of office. That's crazy. Keep your oath. Do what's right. Stand for liberty. Stand for America. You Texas sheriffs, be a Texas sheriff.
That's right.
These guys think you're a bunch of wimps because you keep going along with the money. Do you got to go to court, Sheriff, to ask somebody to be a Texas sheriff? And I'm bringing up Texas because they're on fire right now with this. And they keep asking us, and we can't even keep up with all the sheriffs requesting. There's 254 sheriffs there. And they're all requesting our training weekly. And we got so many that we just went from one county to another 3 weeks ago in Texas. We started in Wichita Falls, and then we went, I don't even remember where we went. We went to Brackaville, and we went to Mesquite, and anyway, 7 different places where sheriffs invited us to come. And Sheriff Coe, who's right on the border, had to leave several times to go help his deputies with very serious shooting incidents and high-speed pursuits from illegals. And folks, those poor sheriffs along the border in Texas and Arizona, oh my goodness. My county was 1 county away from the border. And seeing what's going on there now,
Yep.
man, you don't want to even be close to those borders. My daughter was going to go for Thanksgiving, was going to go down to Mexico to a beach place. I said, Maddie, I just got done with some training on the border. Please don't go there anymore. And she goes, everybody goes all the time and nothing happens. And I said, yeah. I said, but my name might be on the list now because these guys are always watching who's talking with the border sheriffs, and they put hits out on border sheriffs. And I said, I don't want you to go down there. I said, okay. I said, I'll leave it to you, but this is the truth. Anybody going down to Mexico right now, you're depending on the cartels to be user-friendly.
Wow.
And that they'll let you go. And that your 3 beautiful daughters are fine, you can keep them. I said, Manny, it's just not worth it. I said, you might make it down and back, no problem. Maybe you'll go again. We used to have family reunions down there when I was sheriff. Yeah. Until I found out that because I had my gun in my car, that I would have and could have and absolutely would have gone to jail if they had ever caught me with my own sheriff revolver. So I said, no, we're not going anywhere. So we haven't been in a long time. And it's a great place to go. It's called Puerto Peñasco, Rocky Point. And it's like a 3.5-hour drive from Phoenix, where we live right now. Folks, it is so crazy there. Now, when this decision came out from the Supreme Court, June 27, 1997, written by guess who? Justice Antonin Scalia.
Yep.
And this was a butt kicker. And I couldn't believe, I still go over this thing and say, how did he say all this stuff? You're not going to believe it. Let's see, who started out and said the Constitution was Ann? Yeah. You're talking about the Constitution was supposed to protect you. Is it you? Yeah. Constitution is supposed to protect you. The Constitution can't protect you. It's a piece of paper. It's the people who swore to uphold and defend it that the Constitution was counting on. And that's why the Founding Fathers put it in Article 6 that every single member of all three branches of government, whether it's state, local, or federal, must swear an oath of allegiance to the Constitution. You take a sacred oath in God's name that you will uphold and defend the Constitution. That's the person that can defend you and protect you and keep your rights. A piece of paper is not going to do it. We've got to do it. And imagine now that you're committing acts of civil disobedience, which we highly support. Non-compliance, said Chris Ann Hall. Non-compliance in her new movie. I've heard her say this talk lots of times. I've shared the stage with her lots of times. She's just putting her normal talk into a movie. Great. Love it. Get it out there. Show it to every single sheriff in the country. She said the same thing I did. If the sheriffs get involved in this process, we can keep our battle for freedom peaceful.
Wow.
If they don't, it won't. She agreed with me. She was on that tour in Texas, and there was about 13 sheriffs in the room. And she was back in the back because she's having to change her notes because she's getting ready to talk and they cut her time. And she came up with me and standing there. I said, "Did you hear what I said?" She goes, "No, what's time?" I said about violence, if the sheriffs don't get involved. She goes, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." Folks, do you want a peaceful and effective solution? Get your sheriff on board. He or she works for you. They won't do anything? Okay? Let them know you're going to do everything you can to get them unelected. Give them a few weeks. Work with them. If it's a good person and they'll just get to the training, we can get them. We've had it before. Sheriff Scott Williams from Coryell County, Texas. I don't want to go to that CSPOA meeting. I've heard about this crazy, fanatic, right-wing nutcase Sheriff Mack. I'm not going. Somebody in his county said, "Look, I'm paying your way, and I'm going to fly you there." Okay? He is, "Okay, I'll go." Guess who's on our committee now? Sheriff Scott Williams. He'll tell you flat out how he didn't want to go and how it was the best training he's ever been to. And now he volunteers to be on our panel discussions in Mount Rushmore, Rapid City. We're at the Freedom Fest, and 5 sheriffs from across the country on this panel. Not me. I fired me and put these guys on. They're current sheriffs. And he was one of them. And he said, when I was at that CSPOA conference, the light went on. And he's a total convert now to America, to the Constitution, to the Founding Fathers. And another one in Texas said, Sheriff Hargrove said, this meeting with the CSPOA and other sheriffs was a constitutional revival. And he's right. It is the holy cause of liberty, my friends. It's totally religious. And no, I'm not pushing any one religion. Of course not. Never. That's up to you. But to deny the spirit of freedom being the spirit of God is just impossible. Impossible. You can't. This is God's gift to us, that we get to run our own lives. He gave us life, and He gave us the power to choose where to take that life. It has to be up to us. See, and the Democrats, they only want... See, and I don't care if any of you are Democrats. I hope some of you are. Because I don't care what party you are. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care where you came from. I love it that you're here and that you're standing for freedom with all of us. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. I don't even care if you're an atheist. But I hope you get this one thing, that God-given liberty is for all God's children. It doesn't matter where you come from, and it doesn't matter if you're dark complected or not. It doesn't matter.